I get proposed to all the time, and it happens everywhere. Like even in Brazil, it happened.
Welcome to MOGUL Radio, a platform where we sit and talk with today's visionaries, creatives, and friends. Join us as we discuss their journeys, the challenges they face on these journeys, and what inspires them. Whether you're creative, an enthusiast, or just curious, this is your space to connect and grow. Let's get started. Today I have with me Alia Aluma.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm pretty good. You're the first person I asked that today, actually. I
The
think.
first.
Yeah.
But did you talk to other people here in this
Oh, yeah.
room? You didn't do a check-in?
I did a check-in, they just
Okay.
never asked.
Oh, well, how are you? Really?
That's a topic for another day.
Okay.
You were just in Brazil. How was that?
Oh, Brazil was incredible. This was my first time being in a city in Brazil. I had been to like an indigenous area and waterfalls prior, but actually being in a city, being surrounded by people that all look like me, that was incredible and very comforting. I really wish I could have stayed. And I even tried. I actually tried to change my flights the very last minute, like hours before my flight, and it didn't work. So I cried on my way back and humbly returned to Calgary.
Welcome back, I guess.
No, thank you. I had a very important interview to attend, so I couldn't miss it. I was actually thinking about that. I was like, imagine if I have to message him and say, hey, I've decided to stay in Brazil. Can we reschedule?
You probably wouldn't. No, it wouldn't have worked.
I would have felt bad for sure.
I appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're curating an exhibition of your life. What's an object that must go in?
A wedding ring.
A wedding ring.
Yeah. Something that is a running trend in my life, and I do not know why this is the case because this has been happening since I was probably like 17 or 18, is I get proposed to all the time. And just in the most random situations, like I can just be sitting minding my own business and someone proposes. Or I used to work as a bartender when I was in university, and people would come up to me all the time and they'd be like, marry me. And sometimes people would actually give me a ring. And so on my 25th birthday, I had this big party that was a wedding theme, and I made everyone come dressed up as a wedding guest or like a bride, groom, someone getting married. And people gave me gifts that were wedding coded, like something borrowed, something blue, something old. And yeah, I just had this big party, and I wore all these rings that people had given me. And it's like everywhere in the world. Like I've traveled so much, and I've gone so many places for studies and work, and it happens everywhere. Like even in Brazil, it happened. Yeah, this trip just last week.
Walk me through it. Walk us through it. How?
I don't know. I don't know why it happens, you know? And it's like it's funny because I'll lead by saying something like, or so, I don't know, people get to know each other, they ask questions in different situations, and I'll say something like, "Oh yeah, like I've never really been in a relationship." And everyone's like, "I'll marry you. I'll marry you. I'll be the one." And then they just like they propose, but then I never see them again kind of thing. It's not like it's never real, but it's a weird thing that happens so often. So a wedding ring would be in there for sure.
I never expected that.
You know what? I don't expect it either every time it happens. Yeah.
Good story. Good story to tell.
I think so.
Good story to tell. Actually, you're probably right about it.
I did.
You did.
I did. Yeah, I was in a playwriting residency in 2024. Yeah, I think last year. And I was 23 to 24. And I wrote about, I used to live in Italy. I lived there for just a short time. And I wrote a play about my experience there. And I lived in a hotel working as a muralist. So I was just like painting murals in the hotel rooms in this honeymoon suite. And it was this little boutique hotel. And the hotel owner was super focused on trying to make it this hotel that was notorious for having affairs. And so people would come from all over and they'd meet. And so I'd be painting murals in these rooms. Anyways, we can talk about the ethics of that after. But a proposal happened while I was there as well. And it was like this grand, interesting event. And so I turned it all into a play, actually.
You've lived many lives.
I have. I have. And now I'm trying to travel that place. If you know anyone, anybody watching this wants that specific play, it's a romantic comedy. They're not dead.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's harder, cutting a sea or cutting an artifact?
Oh, an artifact. Yeah, it's definitely harder to cut an artifact because um, with a film you can still tell the story even if you're missing a part, right? Like you can change it, you can change scenes, you can combine things. Like it's a lot easier to get rid of a scene and not compromise the story in the same way as if you remove an artifact, you're omitting something very essential from history, right? Like you're controlling the narrative in such a way that you are impacting what people learn and therefore impacting what people teach and impacting what people remember. And when you're altering memory, I think that is like a much bigger responsibility than what comes through in film, in a sense, right? So when someone walks into a museum and they look at an artifact, they're also turning to that artifact for proof of the history you're documenting. And when you take away an artifact, you are essentially choosing to omit a truth, omit a history, and that is a really big responsibility.
How do you decide what makes into an exhibit and what doesn't?
I think it depends. The first thing that happens is when we have an exhibition coming towards us, if we're developing one or one is traveling, we assess the items compared to the space that we have available. That's the biggest thing. Can we actually fit it? And if we can fit it, how can we install it? Do we have the means? And so our physical environment is one of the leading factors. And then we look at, okay, what are the non-negotiable items? What are really going to tell the story? What is most important to preserve? And then we figure out how to make that work. But space really does play a big part in it. And I think with exhibitions and whatnot, it's also timing, how people interact with artifacts and storytelling. Like a lot of what comes to us, everything that comes to us is political, right? Like it's when you're working at the Museum for Human Rights, or even when you're working in fine art. 'Cause prior to this museum, I was working as a curator at a fine art gallery, and these are all like artifacts, everything. They are tools for reaching the people, for talking about big issues in the world, for radicalizing people, for humbling people, like anything. And so the message that you are trying to get across has to be preserved in the artifacts and the artwork that you maintain. So as long as the message is preserved, I think that the artifacts chosen, yeah, will represent that. But whatever best represents the message. Yeah, I hope that answered it. That one
It,
felt, yeah, did that feel okay?
that was good. You answered it.
Okay, whoo.
What role do museums play in shaping culture and creating memories?
Wow. So I always say that artists have this incredible responsibility because they are creating what people will remember and they are creating for the people. And then I also say that museums have an even greater responsibility because they are choosing what people remember. So even what the artists remember, what the artists create, what the people create, a museum has this sense of trust that people will gravitate towards. And so a museum has all the power to change the narrative. And it really depends. Like at our museum, like, again, it's a museum for human rights. And so we're talking about some of the most difficult things in the world. We are talking about atrocities and genocides and displacement and like just the worst of the worst. And human rights impacts everyone around the world. What happens when you work at a national museum that is concerned with the world is you are trying to find stories that represent all of the people that are going to visit you, but are also going to teach all of the people that visit you about the people that share the space with them, that share this world with you and what's going on. And if you misrepresent something, if you fabricate something, if you don't have the fact as clearly as possible, it can change how thousands of people interpret an entire nation.
Looking at your mood board for your life, if you
Ooh,
do.
of my whole life. Actually, no, keep going. I like this question already.
Let's not go your whole life. Let's say plus minus 5 years.
Okay.
Would you say you wanted this role that you have right now?
Okay, I know you're telling me to like speak about this in a condensed way, But can I actually tell a story that's a little bit bigger, like
Yeah,
really
for sure.
quickly? Because the short answer is yes. I always imagined myself working as a curator, but I did not think that I would arrive into this position as early as I did. You know, like I did a lot of research when I was young, looking at like reading memoirs and watching documentaries of the people that I aspire to be like. And I wanted to understand what steps they took to get to where they are. And I was working to arrive in this position maybe mid 30s, as is common for a lot of people in this role. So I arrived into all of my dreams, all of my accomplishments, all of the things that I wanted almost a decade sooner than I thought I would.
Gang.
So, yes, I always imagined this for myself. At this point in time, I am still sometimes in disbelief. I remember when I was in eighth grade, so when I was 13 years old, at the start of eighth grade, I I wrote like a bucket list for myself. I watched some, I don't know, some like Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants esque show where they wrote a bucket list for all the things they wanted to do before graduating high school. And I was like, I like that idea, and so I did that, and I wrote all of these things that I wanted to accomplish. I guess by the time I was 17 years old, by the time I graduated high school, and on that list were things that were like very achievable and things that were also at the time what I thought were really, really big and unbelievable. And I accomplished everything on the list by the time I was 16 years old. And I was like, whoa, that's kind of cool. And it was things like, I don't know, win a gold medal in sports, win an award for having the highest GPA, win a drama award, things like this. And then also like travel to another country, I don't know, go camping, get a job, and like do these things. And so I did everything by the time I was 16, with the exception of like graduate high school, actually. So I updated the list when I was 16 of everything that I wanted to do. And I gave myself a little bit more time because I thought I was thinking a bit bigger. I was like, okay, I'll do all of these things by the time I'm 25 years old. So I write this list, and on this list are very reasonable things like graduate high school, get into a university, again, go to other countries. And my mom had all of these atlases when I was a kid and all of these books. So I picked these atlases off of the shelf, and I just opened them randomly and picked like a bunch of countries that I wanted to visit. And from those countries, I picked Hong Kong, Italy, England, Uganda, or sorry, not Uganda. Yeah, Uganda. Like these countries. I'm like, I want to go to these places and like be in these places. So then, anyways, I write this big list of everything I want to do, be a varsity athlete, blah, 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 all this stuff. And then again, 21 years old, I did everything. And I was like, okay, maybe I need to think a bit bigger, you know? But I kept doing this, and I would place these lists by my mirror in the morning or by my door. And so without realizing it, I was like my ethos and what I was, how I was living, the choices I was making, they were all influenced by this list. And so I was achieving these things because I was focused on them every day. And then I kept doing that, and I did it again. So when I was 21, I wrote a new list of things that I thought I would do by the time I was 30. I was like, okay, I'm going to be reasonable. I'm going to give myself almost 10 years. And then I did everything by the time I was 23. And I was like, and on this list were big things like be a creative director, work as an editor in chief, learn like multiple languages. And I did all of these things. And I was like, holy moly. So then, yeah, so being a curator was on this list. And like, my first curatorial position I got when I was 23 years old, you know, and I got that job after working as a creative director where I helped like design like bars and interiors and like just like the coolest stuff, you know, like the coolest jobs I could imagine. So, yes, I always imagined this for myself. It was always something. And like, so be a curator happened because when I was really young, I volunteered at the Moose Jaw Museum and Art Gallery. That's some lore for some people. I grew up in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, and I got to work with the curator and enter the archives, and I was like, this is really cool. I want to do this, and I want to learn from this. And so there was like learn more about museums, which then turned into like make a show or curate something, which then turned into curate for an organization. And like, so everything was growing. And I've noticed since that, sorry, the story got a lot longer than I wanted it to,
Hey, go
but
on.
okay. But I noticed that in these lists, um, there were patterns. There was something, there were themes that I was always going back to. And then I realized that that's actually, those are my passions. And so through doing this and figuring out what I care about and what I want to accomplish, I found the things that I'm most passionate about. And so now I don't necessarily make lists in that same way, but I make sure that the decisions I make align with the passions that brought me into all of the things that I always wanted. And so that's where I am now.
Hard.
Yeah.
You you did something there. You did something there. I
Good.
think I'm gonna take a page from your book and start looking at what I want. Maybe that's all I need. Who knows?
Yeah, well, I mean, people are like, ooh, this is manifesting. And I know that manifesting has become so popular, but it's actually like Hinduism. Like it's actually like religion, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not like new, but yeah, this like radical belief in your own outcomes really inspires. I don't know, I think the universe is always listening and is
I agree. I agree
open
with
to being
that.
influenced.
What does your list look like when you're 50? Like at that point, literally you're just doing everything.
Have
like
my
when
own
you're 50,
island.
are you like, I want to own the world?
That's
like,
so
what do you
funny.
do?
I don't know. I think that I've given myself, yeah, I've thought about that. Like, what would my list look like when I'm 50? And what I've actually done is I have a couple really big goals that I've just given myself the rest of my life to accomplish. And so I like make little decisions every day that work towards that. Like, I really want to design an entire city. And so I've started working on that in Uganda. Um, and like my father and I have like worked together to start building structures, but then I've also been speaking with different people in the area who build and develop and really trying to strategically understand how to work with locals to design a city in the north of Uganda is the last area to really be developed, and yeah. So my goal is to actually make to design an entire city.
If you're meant to curate the future, not not history, what's the first object you'd put?
If I were to curate the future, is this like make a bold prediction for what I imagine would be in the future?
Yeah.
Well, I really like exploring the concept of Afrofuturism. I don't know, I think that it's healing in some sort of way because throughout education systems, we spend a lot of time studying the degradation of African nations without thinking about their progress and like looking at how big and beautiful they are in so many ways. And I think Afrofuturism is really interesting because that continent has so many resources and is working hard to solve so many problems that the rest of the world created and like problems that the rest of the world isn't even thinking about but will eventually face and then will then turn to the African nation, the African continent to learn from them, right? And so I think Afrofuturism, when I'm thinking about curating the future, what I would put forward would be like some of the city plans that people are working on, or the type of building structures that people like the blueprints, the plans, the things that students are imagining. Are you familiar with the term intangible heritage?
I know what those two words mean on their own.
Yeah. So intangible heritage is essentially like heritage that we don't have like actual artifacts for. So it can be like dance is intangible heritage.
Oh,
So like not forgetting a dance pattern or something like that. But it would be probably predicting like thinking about like what kind of intangible heritage might mark the future, and figuring out how to preserve it in advance. Because something that I think about a lot is that we've done a lot of work in museums of figuring out how to protect history, but when there are so many nations that are now uplifting themselves from like colonial poverty and like really standing in their independence to move forward, we have to have new protections for what they create and thinking about what would be considered heritage in the future and really looking at marking that as something significant. So I don't know, maybe a declaration of understanding future heritage would be something I'd put into a museum about the future.
we'll go to the would you rather segment.
Would you rather? Okay, cool. I like this game actually. I play it all the time.
Love it. Would you rather never get proposed to again or live in one city forever?
Oh my god, never get proposed to again. And
Fair.
I would live. Yeah, if I could live in a new city every year, I would.
So this means
You're never gonna get proposed to again. Charge
That's
it, I
She
fine.
guess.
doesn't care.
I mean, like, okay, I never get married. That doesn't mean I won't have partners. It doesn't mean I won't have relationships. It doesn't. It is what it is. Like, I don't know. Respectfully, I think a wedding is just an economic proposal in a lot of situations, right? And so if I can
Hard.
be successful independently without needing the financial support of marriage, eh.
Now we're parting. Okay. Would you rather have money or have power?
Well, money is power.
Hmm. No. Power, political influence. No, and you don't have money, but you have influence.
Um, no, money is power.
Money. I know that. See, I know
Um,
money is power, but let's take the financial aspect of it. You're just affluent or very no affluent.
Okay.
Affluence is another
Well,
word, but you have the
um, because we live in a capitalist society, I think that money would be more useful in the long term. And if I could make the changes that I want to make in the world with my own investment, then I think that that would be quite significant. And though I might not have power independently, I could empower those around me with the financial capacity that I have, and therefore still contribute to the overall well being of the world and create a semblance of power.
This game
loophole,
sucks.
but I'll let you have that one. Would you rather travel 1,000 years back to the past or 1,000 years to the future?
Oh, to the future.
Is it?
Yeah, I would rather go to the. Okay, actually, I'm traveling as myself.
Yeah, you're traveling as yourself.
Okay, I do not want to be a black person in the past. I would.
Fair.
I don't think I want to do that. Maybe though. Maybe actually, people ask me this all the time, and there's so much of history I would love to experience, but I just feel like it would just hit different because I'm a black woman.
Fair.
And if it's like this exact vessel, like a black woman covered in tattoos, like it would hit different. But I think going to the future would be incredible because we have no experience of that, right? Like we can kind of go into the past. Like I feel like with my job, I actually just go to the past every single day and
Fair
like
enough.
learn so much and see so much and um, have an idea of maybe what was there and having studied it for so long. But yeah, the future, I think just having an idea of what's to come, that would be incredible.
Fair.
I actually always say that I wish I could live long enough to see the world end. Not that I want it to end, but just to like
Odd,
know how it happens when it does. Like I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Would you rather have a relaxing vacation or an adventurous vacation?
Probably adventurous. Yeah. I mean, relaxing is fine for like some time. But I love adventure. I love meeting new people and going new places. I actually like usually when I go out, I wear shoes like I like pick my outfit based on what my pockets can carry, what my shoes allow me to climb and like um what my bag can hold so that I'm prepared for any adventure at any time. Like when I was really young, like early 20s and like late teens, I'd always leave the house prepared to be gone for days at a time just in case I got some sort of like offer that to like hitchhike or like like do you know what I mean? Like I'm so focused on adventure that my life just
Okay.
I feel like I'm 100 years old already because I've lived in almost every adventure that's come towards me, like within reason, of course. I'm street smart.
It's a good skill to have.
Yeah, thank God.
Would you rather do one thing forever or never finish anything?
Oh, never finish anything. You kidding? One thing forever? Oh my goodness. Do you know Leonardo da Vinci was infamous for being a massive procrastinator and owing people so much. Like he took on so many projects, so many tasks, he wanted to do so many different things. And when he died, he had like 100 IOUs. Yeah, he didn't
Okay.
finish anything. But he's regarded as one of the greatest like Renaissance thinkers of all time because he just did so many things, but he never finished anything. But also, how can anything ever finish? Nothing ends. It's a cycle.
Fair. You know what? I could have guessed that was your answer. You're an extreme hobbyist.
Extreme.
Would you rather spend a week in the forest or a night in a real haunted house? Kind of know your answer, but go on land.
Whoa. A week in a forest or in a real haunted house? I don't know what is haunting it. Like, is it like a friendly ghost, or is it
Friendly ghost? No.
like Casper, or is it like a
Let's say
satanic
World War
demon?
Z type zombies out
Nope,
to get
nope, nope, nope,
Uh,
nope. Nope. My biggest irrational fear is zombies. I'd go into the forest. I actually have my outdoor wilderness survival certificate.
what? When did you get that?
17 years old. It might be expired, but the skills are there.
What
sure.
did he teach you? That's...
Everything. How to survive in the wild. So like building fires, first aid, bear safety, animal safety, building shelters. You like get really strong physically. Like I was like a unit, and we'd be able to like move things around. How to grow food, how to live in different outdoor conditions.
Let's go into your filmmaking journey.
Sure.
How do you approach visual storytelling differently when it's screen instead of space?
I think it's a lot easier actually to make a film than it is to curate an exhibition. Because especially if it's a narrative film, because you get to decide everything that's there and you get to make it all up. Um, Space, though, can be a little bit challenging because you have to make spaces look believable. I think what makes any film really great is having like a really strong environment, right? You want it to feel believable. We just made a film at the end of July called Gas Money, and there were a group of university students living together in a house. We had to make the house look like a university house filled with students, and that was very challenging. It's a big house. There's so many different personalities that you have to represent in there. You have to be strategic in how you place things, where you put them, what gets seen, hiding logos, but also filling so much empty space is a lot of work, and filling it logically for the characters. So I think that making believable spaces is, yeah, it's a lot harder in a film, but making a believable world and narrative I think is a lot easier in a film because you can be a lot more relaxed with it. Whereas in an exhibition, a space is standard, right? Like if you have a room, four walls, something like to put something on, a plinth and hang something, people get it.
What's the hardest shoot you've been a part of, and what made it hard?
Like one of the hardest shoots I was a part of was when I was in a role that I shouldn't have been in, and I really didn't like it. I was a like set designer. I really did not like doing it on a film set. I didn't like having to reset. I didn't like having to move all these objects all the time. Like I didn't enjoy it in the same way. So I think that really changed my experience with film, and I actually had such a negative experience on that particular set that I didn't do anything in film again for more than a year. So I was like, oh, if this is film, if this is the film industry, I don't want it. But it was just because I was in a role that was not made for me.
What would you say it's the through line in curating, filmmaking, and writing?
Just storytelling. In my family in Uganda, you are given names in your life based on who you become. So the first name that you receive is relevant to what your parents are going through in their lives, or like some sort of memory or something to anchor you in time based on when you came into the world. And then as you grow, you earn other names, and so families won't all have the same last name in the way that they do in like Canada, for instance. And my father was a refugee for many years of his life in Uganda, and the last name that he received was Aluma, which means teacher or writer. It's almost like synonymous because he was working as a teacher in a refugee camp. And so that is the name that I inherited. And I think that I really embody that. And I really believe in ideas of like self-fulfilling prophecy, like you name somebody what you hope they become, or your name really influences who you are. So um, I think that through everything that I do in my life, this storytelling and this kind of teacher-esque method of storytelling comes through. Like there is there's telling a story just for like the words to exist out there, but then there's telling a story to change someone's mind, change someone's heart, change someone's perspective. And I think that in everything I do, that is the goal. but everything I do is interpreted in story format. I'm sitting here right now talking to you, and I'm thinking about like what the frame looks like and the story of this, like the relationship between you and the materials around you. Like everything is a story, and I can't not think about it in that way.
Very profound.
Aww.
What's one answer you're still trying to figure out?
Where to build it?
Are we talking about the city or just it's an open-ended question?
Yeah, I think this takes over my brain so much now, right? Because the question for so long used to be, okay, what do I do with my life? What job do I want? How do I want to live? All of these things. And I feel like I've really worked in a direction where I have an idea of what that is. But where do I do that is like this big question mark. Like, where do I live where I feel like safe, happy, calm, lovable, you know? You said earlier that you love Calgary, that you would probably stay in the city.
I did say I love Calgary, but I
Okay.
did say yeah.
That you'd stay here, you know? And I'm like, okay, when am I gonna find a city that I'm like, I would stay there? Like if all, like I'm always looking for another city, I'm always looking for another place. And yes, it does come from this urge for adventure, but it also comes from this place of not feeling like I have like a home, you know? And so I think that the big question is like, where do I call home? What makes it home? And what do I build there? Yeah.
I think Saskatchewan is home.
No, sir. Do I seem like I'm from Saskatchewan?
No, I could never tell.
Thank God. Can I ask you a question?
Huh. Okay, let's go. Sure.
Yeah. When you imagine the life of your dreams, how close are you to achieving that? And where do you see yourself? What is the outcome? What is the dream?
Oh, we could be here for a minute. I think I'm about a decade away.
Okay.
The life of my dreams.
That's okay.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm stuck because I didn't expect to do all these things this fast, and it's hard for me to think what's next. I think I've just been living in the moment and just trying to enjoy it. But deep down, I need something else.
Like what?
A new challenge.
In what way?
I need a new goal for my career. And I'm a marketing manager, and I enjoy that a lot. But I'm also a filmmaker, a writer, creative director, let's say, and I also host MOGUL Radio, and I enjoy all those. And obviously, if one were to die, I wouldn't. I'm fine with the other because I love both equally. But I know that to progress even further, I need to let one go. And I'm not in a point to let one go.
We're kind of in a similar situation, right? But different, where I know that I want to go forward, but to do that, I have to let go of something really significant. And it is Calgary. It's the city. It's that couch. And it's the same, right? Where you have these things where you know that you want to progress, but you have to figure out what to let go. And so like the question that you asked me before, it's like, what is the through line in everything that you do, right? Like, what is connecting everything that you do? And does your passion show up in everything? Like, are these different passions? Are these things that can exist at different times? Like, is it so much that you're letting it go indefinitely, or that you're letting it go right now so that you can grow and return to it as somebody who can take better care of it later?
It could work. But then that introduces, okay, the fear of leaving stuff, the uncertainty of things. Because I'm one that loves stability. And I'm very, very logical with my thinking.
Yep.
So,
I'm going to tell you one really quick thing. I know that it's probably a time. That fear that you have, I completely understand it. And I remember last year, my biggest fear, because I'm so, like, the work that I do is who I am. I can't really get away from that. And it's how I'm known. It's what people know me for. Like, I interact in so many different spaces, so many different levels. And so I always thought the worst thing that could happen to me is losing a job. Like, if I lost my job, I have no sense of self, no sense of identity. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no money coming in. My, like, all, like, to me, it was the worst thing that could happen to me and like my biggest fear. And then I was in a workplace that was just not the right fit for me. I did really cool things in that workplace, but it was not the right fit. And I ended up getting let go from that job. I know, my big moment. And I was like, this is my biggest fear. This is the thing that I feared more than anything else. And like the one anchor that I thought that I needed to be like a person, right, was connection to some really impressive job. And then I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. I don't know how I remain relevant. I don't know how I maintain a sense of self. I don't know who I am to the people around me. Am I no longer useful? Am I going to be invited to the parties? Like, who am I? And then I was like, you know what? I kind of have the freedom to do something that I've never done. And I just like I got out of here. I went down to California to try to learn how to surf. And then I started getting international opportunities, different contracts, and then one day I got a DM on LinkedIn from the museum that I work at like a recruiting company asking me to interview for the position that I now have. And I didn't think it was real. And we like met virtually. They even paid me to interview, okay? And it's like the dream job, the job of my dreams came to me like after I'd lost everything that I thought that I needed and wanted. And then I ended up getting the exact thing that I was just like meant for. And it was interesting because I got the job offer at the exact same time that I got an offer to be the director of another national organization. And I almost took that director job out of spite because the job that let me go because they didn't think that I was qualified to be a director. And then after one conversation, this massive organization was like, will you be our director? And I was like, I'm not going to let this past or what I thought defined me like have any impact on the decisions that I make. And now I have the greatest job that I could have ever imagined. And I get to do the most incredible things that I could have ever done, like go to South Africa and go to Brazil and work with people around the world. And I don't even have the words to express the blessing that I feel. So sometimes you have to lose everything. Like you have to go through the scariest thing possible.
I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
appreciate the question and the journey, I guess, to answer that question.
Yeah. You'll get to where you need to be as long as you keep going there.
Thank you, Leah.
You're welcome.
Natalie, everyone.
Thank you.